Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Salty Sweet Games. Welcome to Masks of Nyarlathotep. I am the aforementioned Salty.
And I am Sweet.
And these various assorted spices are our friends. Before we go around and meet everyone, Summer, I think, will be joining us. We'll see. Having a few internet kerfuffles, but hopefully she will be here soon. But let's talk about some channel stuff. So, firstly, a ton of thanks to our sponsors, Roll20, a virtual tabletop of choice, which unites gamers across any distance with easy-to-use tools. Last week, it proved to be fickle and had its way with our poor investigators. But they all lived. Spoiler alert, they're alive. Isn't that nice? Isn't that good? Love it. Thank you also to everybody who subscribed and gifted subs because our final emote is live. He's super cute, he's pretzel, he's doubtful, which is perfect for everything that we do here. So go ahead and subscribe if you want some sweet, sweet emotes. Yeah. Merch. We have a Redbubble that you can go get merch from if you want it. The links are in chat. Also, important, donation options are listed below and they can seriously impact the game. You can use bits or our Streamlabs tip jar. You click on the dono image, it will take you right there. Kienna and I pay for everything at Salty Sweet Games out of pocket, including the sweet, sweet character art you see, the all that sort of stuff. And these donations go exclusively toward channel upkeep, so it helps us keep the lights on, and you can help out the player characters too. It's nice. Last thing, we here at Salty Sweet Games use safety tools, and we love them. Lines, veils, X and no cards, stars and wishes, and content warnings, because while the characters are going to be put through hell, the players are here to have fun, and they are our priority always. So, without further ado, let's meet them, starting with Kienna. You're playing someone, or are you playing?
Yeah, I'm playing person. As you would expect, playing person.
Sure.
I play Irene Blackwell, who is our resident forger. She is doing okay after everything, actually. Shot many people, actually.
She did. That's true.
Shot them good, to the surprise of a lot of people. So, yeah. But I'm excited to see what we do, what happens in a year. Also, Streamlab, please work.
I just restarted it. We'll see if it
Cool.
pops on at any point. There was an update, everyone. You know how it is. Allie. Hi, Allie.
Hello. Hey everybody, it's Allison. I play Ganymede Graves, Adventure Scientist. And I don't want to say anything else to spoil what's going to happen today, because what we're going to do today, this is one of my favorite things about RPGs. I'm just super excited to play with you all today, and thanks for joining us.
Alrighty. And there's also Tommy. Hello, Tommy.
I don't like how you said that.
Why not? It was
makes
very
me feel like some
special. It was a special way of greeting a special
exactly.
friend.
That's why I have a problem with it. Now I'm worried. Hi, I'm Tommy. I play Zebulon Claiborne Montgomery III. I forgot his middle name. Sorry, Zebulon Augustine Claiborne Montgomery. Yeah, Claiborne Montgomery is hyphenated.
Zachem 3.
Yeah. Who is resident babe of the group, is 17, is maybe slightly traumatized by what's happened here, maybe just a little bit, just a scoosh. We'll see how that affects him and his growth, his maturity growth, his mental and maturity growth.
Yes, maturity, of course. So
is 17, by the way.
Got that.
For anyone who's new here, he is 17.
Fab. So last time, the mystery of Peru came to a close with an epic showdown. Augustus Larkin, as many suspected, was not what he seemed. I don't know, I thought he was super subtle. Possessed by a powerful entity who called himself the Father of Maggots, he lured the investigators to the site to extract more of the Gold Warden, though the extent of this being's influence and power was revealed only to Charlie, who agreed with his desires, provided everyone made it out alive. Meanwhile, Ganymede, Zebulon, Irene, and Jackson Elias were confronted by Luis de Mendoza and a room full of Karasiri, including Professor Sanchez. The creatures were outgunned, and through quick thinking, the investigators saved a young farm boy and the professor. When it was clear he would not be getting what he wanted, Larkin shifted to mocking the investigators, revealing intimate details about their past lives. He seemed to put Zebulon into a trance, prompting Jackson Elias to fire upon him and Ganymede to finish him off with the business end of her shotgun boarding axe. So, we're going to pick back up in Lima. 2 weeks later, April 8th, 1921, at Bar Cordano. Tomorrow, you are all due to leave aboard the Daring, Panama being the nearest destination. Since the events at the site, Domingo has returned to his family, what remains of it. Professor Sanchez is recovering at home. You hear from Neyra on your way back that Maria recovered as well. And Trinidad is with you, as is, of course, Jackson Elias. Jackson Elias, what can we say about Jackson Elias? He's a handsome man, he's a great writer, you could wax on poetic forever about him. But anyway, where was I? Bar Cordano, yes. What do you do? What are you talking about? What's been going on, friends? It's been 2 weeks.
Zebulon is drinking the tequila. He's drinking the tequila.
1 tequila.
Yeah, and 1 tequila means there's about 4 shots in front of him.
Perfect.
Well, I sure am glad we're all alive. Yep. Last time we were here, who would have thought that any of that was gonna happen? Takes a shot, just throws it back.
Oh,
Ganymede. Go ahead.
No. Jackson is enjoying whatever is going on with Zebulon.
Ganymede raises up a shot glass that is filled with tequila as well. She's sipping hers, though, and fanning herself a bit. It started to get warmer here since their last visit. And she says, with a completely straight face, she says, "Yes, you were a much younger man in those days, weren't you, Zebulon?" She takes a sip.
Yep. Just takes another shot. just downs one more shot. Just stares into the distance.
Yeah, I think as Zeb stares in the distance, Irene just very discreetly reaches over and pulls away the rest of the tequila bottle out of reach. Just nope.
Jackson winks at you as he pours himself a shot, because God knows he could use one too.
Yeah.
So, where is it from here, everyone? I know you've all hitched a ride on Miss Graves' ship. Where are you off to?
Home. Yep, I'm going home.
Right, you have a senior year.
School. Yeah, I gotta finish school, and I got the football season coming up. We'll start practice real soon.
When you say you have football season coming up, Jackson there's like this odd look on his face. It's like he's all smiles right now. Y'all have made it to the other side. He is going to write a fantastic book. Everyone seems healthy, I guess, like relatively healthy. But when you say that about football season, there's just like a flicker where he doesn't meet your eyes.
I don't know if Zebulon notices that at the moment.
Sure.
He's probably just a bit too. He's definitely, you know, on the line between tipsy and what's the word? Tipsy and not quite drunk, but I'm blanking on it right now. It's 9 a.m. But just on the edge of like tipsy and whatever the next stage is before you get drunk.
Well, I'm sure you'll do splendidly, Zebulon.
Well, you know, we got a real reputation to uphold this year. We've won the last 2 state championships, going for 3. But we did lose our star quarterback last year. But I got hope. There's a sophomore that might be might be pretty good. A little scrawny, a little on the small side, if you know what. We'll see.
I love how the rest of them are like, sports ball.
Yes, the sports. I mean, Jackson's into sports, not high school sports, but he is encouraging. Trinidad at this point walks over from the bar. She's got more drinks because we need them. We need the drinks. And has ordered food for everybody, kind of a last meal. Take that how you will. And she sits down. Well, I guess cheers are in order or something like that.
Ganymede finishes off the bit that she's been sipping on and accepts the fresh glass. To what shall we be drinking, Trinidad?
Each other's health.
Being alive.
Yes.
There's
see?
that.
See?
To never seeing another again.
They do have a word, but I appreciate the colorful way in which you describe them.
Look, I'm gonna be honest here, Miss Rizzo. I am fairly certain that I am butchering the word, and I'd rather just do the sound than you know, butcher the word very
Sure.
terribly.
Sure. I would toast to Professor Sanchez's speedy recovery.
I can agree to that.
Ganymede nods and holds up her glass.
Zebulon holds up whatever new bottle has been brought to the table.
Yeah, I think there's a moment of Irene just be like,
Yeah.
she had just moved the tequila bottle away. Zeb, maybe a glass.
Oh, yeah. I should probably get a glass. Where did all my glasses go? I just want to have like 5 of them here.
Jackson.
Anyone got a glass?
Yeah. Jackson passes you one, and he turns to Ganymede. What about you, Miss Graves? What's after Panama?
We due in in the Azores for just a brief stopover. But beyond that, I'm not quite sure. Honestly, I'm. She takes a deep breath and a sip. Considering taking some time ashore. Honestly, perhaps back at Oxford. Could return to my studies. I must confess, I'm most curious after our little adventure. So much to learn, so much to consider, you know. But we'll see. I'll confer with my grandfather when we're back on board, I suppose.
Pardon me for saying so, but I think I forgot how young you were, Miss Graves.
I don't quite know how to take that, Mr. Elias.
And, he changes the subject. Irene? And he calls you Irene and not Miss Blackwell?
Yeah, of course he does.
Charming man.
Very charming. Head back to the States and, maybe, go visit my family for a bit. Keep, head low, and after all this, I think some peace and quiet is probably, a good step. As much as I, love New York, it's, can be a lot.
And Mr. Elias, what about you? What are your plans? Beyond writing the book, of course.
Well, that's gonna take up a lot of my time. I must admit, I do enjoy the research portion more than I enjoy the writing part, but it has its pleasures, I suppose. I think I might stay here for a bit. Lima seems as good a place as any to write about a local death cult.
Now, Mr. Jackson, are you sure about that? This is where the still are, even if I'm sure there's more out there. They may not be happy about whatever we did with their weird, whatever that thing was.
Well, if what we've seen was any indication, whatever illness was infecting these people, infecting their bodies and minds, seems to have passed. And I don't plan on venturing too far out of these places. Places we've trod already, I mean. I am interested maybe in the long term in other projects, so maybe I'll call on you. Y'all are a good team to have around.
I mean, I may see Miss Graves here, but I'm gonna be honest, Miss Blackwell. I know nothing about you, and we've been together for the last week, 2 weeks. I don't know where you're going or what you're doing, but I don't know if you really, or really Mr. Rapp either.
Well, it is
right,
the.
so we are staying quiet.
It is the case, Mr. Montgomery, that sometimes the things you need to know, you find out in moments of intense hardship.
I mean, I have learned I never want to perhaps piss off Miss Blackwell there. I did see her blow some well-deserving, unfortunate bloke's head off with a gun.
Certainly there is a lot more to Miss Blackwell than one might initially suppose. But, you know she has your back, and you wouldn't know that if you had just met over tea.
Irene casually takes a drink.
Well,
I gotta ask, Mr. Jackson,
you can just call me Jackson at this point.
yeah, I know. I just love how Zeb is like transitioned into calling him Mr. Jackson, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I mean, I just feel like Mr. Jackson just feels more appropriate. It's casual yet still, you know, respectful.
All right,
Same time I feel
Zebulon.
like.
What did you want to ask me?
Zeb is slowly getting drunker. What are you gonna say about all of this? I mean, there's things that I don't think people are gonna believe you ever saw in what happened here.
I think, maybe the inclusion of a heretofore undiscovered parasite might explain a lot. I've seen some mighty strange things in my previous investigations on cults of this kind, and I think most of it can be explained rationally.
I would completely agree, Mr. Elias. I found nothing in our experience that could not be, although Mr. Rapp has been behaving very strangely. Appears to me to be since the events at the pyramid.
He was the only one who spent any kind of alone time with Mr. Larkin there at the end.
And I'm perplexed at Mr. Larkin himself, who seemed, well, he seemed not to be himself there. Even his manner of speaking changed. It was very strange. And with this, she looks at Irene briefly, and he knew things. He knew things about my family that he'd at least not indicated in the past having known. Certainly something quite strange. Don't you think, Miss Blackwell?
Yeah, for a man who said that he was pulling together a random group of people for an expedition that he proclaimed he had little information about, he seemed to have a lot of knowledge about things that he shouldn't have, or that he had and just hid this entire time. It's
Might
very
make
strange.
for a good follow-up book. Where'd he say he was from? Kenya? Somewhere in Africa.
Yeah.
Speaking of books, I'm curious to know, how do you plan to portray us in your narrative of these strange events, Mr. Elias?
I would say exactly as you are, because I think every author flatters himself that he can capture the essence of the people he interacts with. Favorably, I suppose.
I can't say that I've read any of your books, but do you anonymize the identities of the other people within your books?
I can, if that's what you wish.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Mr. Jackson. It may sound like if you do an exact recount of what happened, I may come off as a bit aggressive.
That's not how I'd describe you, Zebulon.
I mean, now if people believe that this was just a simple bug and I killed people, then I don't know if I'd want my name attached to that.
I
And he just
understand.
takes another long drink.
I must admit, I'm somewhat concerned about this as well, especially considering that the final responsibility for the death of Mr. Larkin falls upon me. Nevertheless, I'm also compelled at the importance of having, well, an accurate historical record of what's taken place over these last several weeks. We've stumbled upon a heretofore unknown death cult, as you call them, but also evidence of some type of civilization here in South America that has never even been considered before. Surely these events warrant as precise and accurate a retelling as possible.
I quite agree. I think, if you all want to be renamed, so to speak, to protect your identity, when he says that, he very, just slightly perceptibly looks at Irene, then that would be fine by me.
If I would prefer if, of course, you can portray me all as you like, but I'd prefer if my name wasn't specifically in it. I'm, not one for, gathering attention to myself, I should say.
He smiles and nods. Well, I think I know where Mr. Montgomery stands. What about you, Miss Graves?
I think as long as it's made perfectly clear that our actions, sort of sitting back a bit to take in her comrades here, our actions were purely in self-defense, which of course they were. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Well, then I am quite comfortable with having my name published in your book. I would love to have to receive a copy.
Of course.
I've never been in a book before, to my knowledge. Quite like the idea of that.
He pulls out a pocket watch from his breast pocket. Well, it's getting close to y'all departure time. I mean, I'm sure the Darren will wait for you as long as you wanted it to, Miss Graves.
You might be surprised, Mr. Elias. It is my grandfather's ship, and it is run on time, if nothing else. We should gather our things. Miss Rizzo, it has been a singular pleasure. I'm so glad that we got to see you one last time.
I am as well, and thank you all so much for returning Professor Sanchez to us. Will you give this to Charlie? And she she just kind of holds it out. She's not quite sure who to give it to.
Irene will take it.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I suppose this is goodbye.
Miss Rizzo, do try not to get into any more life or death situations.
Yes, I don't
Yes,
know what I would do if you were not here.
Yep. He's gonna grab. You mind if I take this? He's gonna grab whatever's left of the bottle.
Of course.
Mind if I take this? And then Zebulon will go over to shake hands with Mr. Jackson, Mr. Elias,
Mr. Montgomery.
It was real nice meeting you, and I wish you the best of luck on your book. And I'm now going to go drink this bottle until I can believe that everything you said was how things happen.
You'll be alright, won't you, Zebulon?
Yep, I'll be fine. I'm just just spring break.
Ganymede steps up to Elias. Trust me, his sisters will take excellent care of him.
Oh, that's right. How many of those does he have?
6.
I've lost count for one.
There are 6 of them. He says as he's like walking out the door.
You know what? That puts everything into a new perspective for me. I get him now.
Ganymede takes his hand. I'll look forward to hearing from you then. And if I can be of any assistance with your research, please do let me know. I'll keep you informed, and you as well, Trinidad, of any progress that we make in with these artifacts. Thank you again, Trinidad, for allowing us to borrow them for a bit.
Of course, as long as, you don't lose them. Like, Mr. Montgomery lost the gold band. It's fine. We understand he can't hear us right now, but, it was kind of a loss for us. So, yes, if you could send those back.
Yes, of course.
Gracias.
And Ganymede drops a little salute as she goes. Farewell, my friends.
Trinidad shakes Irene's hand and Jackson's hand, and she heads out. And Jackson and Irene are alone in Bar Cordano. This is goodbye for now.
For now,
I always, of course, prefer see you later, see you next time. I'm sure there are other languages that say it better.
well, hopefully the next time we meet, it will be under better circumstances.
How would you define better circumstances, Irene?
Perhaps in a situation where we're not in life or death, or in a, not trying to solve a mystery.
I'm sure we could still, he laughs to himself. Not that I tend to find those times, like I said, the best times to get to know somebody. But I'm sure we could find some way to rustle up some fun anyway.
Yes, I find that sharing a meal is one of the better ways to learn about somebody.
Are you asking me to dinner?
You just see her blush.
You are being very forward, Miss Blackwell.
That was not my intention.
He's got a big grin on.
Yeah, not my intention at all, Mr. Elias. But if circumstances ever have us meet again, then perhaps we can have a more relaxed meeting. What publisher do you publish your books through? Just so I know what to look out for.
Prospero House out of New York City.
Well, if it's in New York, then more than likely I'll see it.
I want to give you something before you head out, if kind of as a goodbye. Just see you next time, whatever you want to call it. And he pulls out that pocket watch again. This, I got this in New York City. Antique browsing on the Lower East Side. I call it my lucky pocket watch. And I wanna give it to you because I saw something in the pyramid when we were down there underneath it.
What did you see?
I saw Zebulon in that trance, that frozen state, whatever it was, the shock. And I saw Larkin gesture with his hand, and Zebulon's leg broke without Larkin ever having touched him. And that's why I shot him when he did. I saw it happen. I heard everyone's screams. I saw the blood. I saw his leg twisted, and then it hadn't happened, and I shot him.
Yeah, she kind of places a hand on his arm. hopefully all of these visions that we've had were just visions.
Sure, yeah, I just, the place I got it from, the young lady who pointed it out to me said it would save a laugh one day. And, I think it's helped me. And, I mean, I'm never worried about myself. That's one thing I'll say. I get by. Sometimes just on my good looks, but... Just, would you take it? I would feel better if you take it.
All right. And she'll take it, and she'll examine it for a moment before kind of slipping away. You know, for a moment I thought you were going to make a joke about giving this to me so I could count down the seconds until
No!
next meeting.
That thought never crossed my mind, and I am offended heartily that you would suggest that I would ever make such a tacky joke.
Well, I will see you later, Jackson, hopefully.
See you later, Irene.
And she will step out towards the dairy.
And so. Time moves forward, as do plans. It's been 2 years since you last saw Jackson Elias, though he does manage to keep in touch with postcards from all over the world with all of you. Your characters have parted ways, at least temporarily, and perhaps the only thing you have in common now are the terrible dreams you can't shake. Dreams of alien shapes moving under the ground. A dark throne room. A massive mountaintop. The sky being torn asunder with fire. And every time you dream, the last thing you see is a red door with the number 410 on it. But the publication of Jackson Elias's book about your mutual experiences in Peru is nigh. And he has come to talk to you before the book goes to final print. Ganymede, what's your life been like, and where do we find you in 1923?
After the brief stopover in Panama and then the Azores that she mentioned back at Bar Cordano, Ganymede asked her grandfather if she might be allowed to leave the daring for some time. Her initial reasoning for wanting to do that was to continue her studies, and an opportunity had arisen to do that at Oxford, which is where she was born and lived for the first 8 years of her life until her parents disappeared while on an expedition of their own to South America in the Amazon. The real reason that she's asked for permission to do this, though, is for the very first time to seek to understand better what happened to them. And so, not long after they parted ways in Panama, Ganymede left the daring and for most of the last 18 months has been back at St. Hilda's College in Oxford. St. Hilda's, at the time, the only Oxford college that was all women. It was where both of her parents taught. And she's been pursuing advanced studies there and living with the woman who was her nanny when she was very young, Beatrix Oakley. Beatrix was a student at St. Hilda's at the time and was caring for Ganymede when her parents disappeared. And Beatrix is now a professor herself of literature and languages. She still lives in the small cottage just off of the campus at St. Hilda's where Ganymede was raised. And so that's where Ganymede returned. And she's been reading and writing and studying during the day, mostly about her field of choice, archaeology. She's in fact writing a thesis on some of the artifacts that she recovered from the pyramid. But she has, as that process has come to an end, she has spent more and more of her time researching her parents' last expedition, and she has become very interested. Some might even say obsessed with the occult, and particularly occult practices in ancient South America. And that's sort of studies are kind of not exactly approved studies at St. Hilda's. She's been spending a lot of time with those things.
So the copy of the book arrives before Jackson does. It comes with another postcard. And he says that he'll be in your area if you'd be willing to talk with him.
And Ganymede writes back immediately that she would love to see him, sets up a time that they might meet for tea at the cottage. But she puts off reading the book until the last possible moment before he arrives. She's finds herself less than eager to relive those events. That said, by the time he arrives, she has read it in the way that only a graduate student can, very quickly. And I'm curious to know what she's found as she's read through his depiction of events.
So the book is called The Hungry Dead. It reports accurately. It's just that some of the stranger things are absent. Things that would make proper, scholars and kind of academics ignore the work. It paints Larkin as kind of this charismatic cult leader, obviously hiding his true nature and perhaps even identity. Talks about the parasites as strange, obviously, but still a natural part. It does not ever mention the gold band setting the creatures, the infected, ablaze. And the book says that Larkin physically attacked you and that you acted in self-defense. which is not exactly how it happened.
Lovely.
And you see him walking up the path to the cottage, much as you remember him, tweeds and fedora, big smile. He looks a little tired, but he has been traveling extensively, as is his wont to do. But yeah, he's walking up the path to your cottage.
Ganymede is waiting in her study, which was her parents' shared study when she was a little girl. I think that Beatrix has very naturally kind of fallen back into a role of keeping the house a bit and caring for Ganymede, even though, you know, they're both adults and Beatrix has her own responsibilities at the cottage. And so when Jackson Elias arrives, it's Beatrix who meets him at the door and welcomes him and leads him into the study, I think. And so that's where we would meet.
He settles in. Beatrix very, I imagine her like I don't know, like a less Technicolor version of Mary Poppins for some reason.
Yeah, that's just about perfect, I think.
Practically perfect, Allie. Nailed it. Oh God, I'm so sorry, everybody. So she brings tea and sandwiches and closes. Well, she leaves the doors cracked, obviously, for propriety. And you and Jackson are in your study.
Mr. Elias, it is so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for letting me know that you would be close by.
I must say, it is so good to see a friendly face. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do have lots of friends, but every time I see one, I'm glad of it.
Well, I'm likewise. I'm glad to see that you are well. On the other side of this a project of yours.
Yes,
She
yes.
taps on the book.
You know, sometimes I can't believe it takes so long to go from the writing of a thing to the publication of it.
Having been up to my ears in a thesis, I can very much relate to your experience. I'm very pleased with the book, as for what my opinion matters. I think it's
it does matter to me, Miss Graves.
I think it is an excellent work, and just as we said back in Peru those years ago, it is a largely precise and accurate detailing of the events. I've noticed that a few of the stranger things you've glossed over, shall we say.
Well, time away from something can sometimes make something clearer. If you know what I mean, sleeping on something often makes it seem better in the morning.
I quite agree. Quite agree. It feels as though you've been around the world 3 times since we last met, at least if your postcards are any indicator.
Yeah, I've started work on a new project almost as soon as I was done actually writing the last one. Sent it off to the publisher, Jonah, at Prospero House. And then decided to see if I could find anything else out about old Augustus Larkin, or whatever his actual name was.
Any interesting tidbits to share?
Well, not sure if I want to spoil you yet. I am planning on heading to London and Paris to start with. I know he mentioned to me when I arrived that he had traveled through there, so seeing if I can pick up that trail. I assume it will lead me to Africa, if that is actually where he was from.
I'll be quite interested to stay abreast of your progress if you'd be willing to share information.
Of course, much as I can.
And likewise, I've for the most part completed my research into the artifacts that we brought back from Peru. I find it quite interesting, of course, but still more questions than answers, I'm afraid. Every time we seek to trace whether it's symbology or language or even the strange shapes of the bits of pottery that we brought back, it's constantly running into dead ends. I assume that you can relate to that experience.
I most certainly can. But usually I just end up, you end up working something. You know what I mean? You work it and you work it until something comes of it.
I do indeed. I wonder, she pours out a second cup of tea for each of them. I wonder if I might ask a favor of you, Jackson.
Of course.
You may recall under the pyramid, Mr. Larkin said some very strange things, particularly related to the fate of my parents. I've been curious how he might know anything about them or what happened to them. If you're able to uncover any information that might be helpful to me in that regard, I would be most grateful if you pass it on.
Did you ever think that maybe, when he found out who was coming, he maybe just did a bit of research, maybe had some contacts, and maybe he didn't really know anything about him beyond what you know?
That is exactly what I've thought most days since then. But in the nights, I have other thoughts.
If I can find out anything for you, I'll let you know right away.
I would be most grateful. You may have to, it may take me a bit to respond. I'm headed back to sea, I think.
I am glad of it. Back in the field for Miss Graves, huh?
Yes. I think that I think that my time here at Oxford has come close to an end. My grandfather has a saying that I'm quite fond of. He says that the test of a well-lived life is that you find yourself on an adventure wishing you were back home in front of your hearth. And the test of a poorly lived life is that you find yourself in front of your hearth wishing you were on an adventure. That's where I have found myself in the last few months. So it's time to go, I think.
I most definitely understand that.
I've discovered some I'd like to follow up on. I'm heading to Patagonia with the support of the daring. Possibly some connection to the civilization whose remains we uncovered in Peru. In fact, I'm about to send a letter to young Zebulon to see if he might be interested in accompanying me.
He is next on my schedule to visit. I can't wait to see what he replies.
Well, I haven't sent it yet. Perhaps if you are on your way, you might deliver the message to him personally?
Gladly. Anything else? Any other letters? I'm gonna try to visit everyone.
Well, now that you mention it, and she opens a drawer of the desk and draws out a letter that's already been sealed. If you're going to be dropping by Zebulon and his family, you might pass this on to his sister Annabelle for me.
Of course.
Along with my warmest regards.
He stands up. Well, I best be on my way, I suppose.
Must you? It's been such a short visit. It's much to catch up on.
I know, I just, my free time is very rare. Once I kind of get on the trail of a new story, it all evaporates.
Well, then she stands and extends a hand, and then I wish you the best of luck on your hunt, Mr. Jackson. It has been such a pleasure to see you.
And you, Miss Graves. And he shakes your hand. Before he goes, places a hand on your shoulder and smiles and then leaves. Zebulon, please tell me about Zebulon's home and what he has been up to the past 2-ish years.
Alright, so the last 2 years. So, unfortunately, Zebulon did not play his senior year of college football. Yeah. He played for one game, in which that one game, his leg was broken. It was the football back in the day was a real was a lawless
sport.
And he got like chop blocked real bad, twisted up his knee real bad and broke his leg. Mm-hmm. And so he had to sit out the rest of the school year, the rest of the football season. They did go on to win the state championship for the 3rd time in a row. Zeb, he felt a little, not necessarily left out, but FOMO, I guess. Yeah, because he wasn't playing, and he got into journalism during that time. He had to take he ended up in a journalism class his senior year, and it was kind of a throwaway class. He kind of chose it because he was hoping he could blow it off. But once his leg was broken, he kind of had to stay in school. It was a lot more difficult skipping school when you're not really mobile. Met a writer for the local Charleston newspaper, the Post and Courier, and and I think sort of some of the inspiration came from meeting like Mr. Elias and Mr. Elias to a more extent, but also Mr. Rapp sort of like to the whole like investigating things and figuring out the truth of things. So I think that had more than a little effect on him wanting to go into this. He did not end up having a drinking problem. His sisters made sure of that. He does smoke quite a bit these days, but he's grown a bit taller, but he's grown a little bit, not necessarily lankier, but like he's not like bulked up anymore for football. He's not needing to be in the best of shape anymore, but he's still a pretty good sized dude. And he now has kind of a part-time job with the Charleston's newspaper at the Post and Courier. He's more of a assistant than anything else, but he's trying to get his sort of big break as a writer. Yeah, that's what he's been doing.
Excellent. So, Jackson sends along the postcard with the book ahead of him, The Hungry Dead. You do notice, of course, the absence of any spontaneous combustion. Visions also are not mentioned. But he arrives, you see him kind of walking up the driveway, much the same as ever, at least as you remember him. And he rings the doorbell.
Oh my gosh, it's probably
Which of your
Pearl.
six sisters?
It's probably Pearl.
I wanted it to be Pearl. That's amazing, because I was like looking at them, I was like, please let it be Pearl, please let it be Pearl.
It's gonna be Pearl.
Pearl
Yeah.
grabs the door, whips it open. She's, 19 at this point, or a little younger?
A little younger.
Yeah,
maybe
little
17
younger.
or 18 at this point.
Yeah. All made up, even though she's at home and it's, I don't know, the middle of the day. Puts on a big smile. Well, you must be Mr. Jackson Elias. I've heard all about you and I'm so excited to meet you. Come on in. And she like opens the door wide. Everything is like a gesture with her. And he is taken aback and he takes off his hat and walks in. Let's see, who is all here? Lillian is here. I feel like she's somewhere smoking right now. Like leaning out the
but
window.
secretly.
Yeah.
Secretly smoking out the windows so no one notices.
Yeah.
She has to tutor a lot of to put it nicely, little rich shits. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So she secretly smokes a decent amount.
Grace pokes her head out of the library briefly. I mean, this is fascinating. I think Frankie's probably at work.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And Annabelle is currently upstairs. So Pearl starts calling out, Zeb! Zeb, your friend is here!
I mean, Zeb has probably been in they probably have a what do you call it, a sunroom, right?
Yeah,
like a sunroom. They probably have a sunroom. Zeb's family is at this time probably what you would consider upper middle class.
Mm-hmm.
So they're fairly comfortable. They have a nice little decent sized house with a nice little yard. Dad has a car, which Zebulon and Frankie have wrecked before. But Zeb will probably come in from the sunroom where he was working on a typewriter. And sleeves rolled up, linen shirt, suspenders. Hair's grown a little longer than it used to be, sort of pushed back. Mr. Jackson, it's been a while.
Yes, indeed. Before you can kind of go into his whole spiel, Pearl pushes into the room. What you writing, Zeb?
I'm writing a bit about.
Is it a letter to a girl? Huh. She laughs at her
No.
own joke.
Oh, okay. Okay, Pearl. Don't you have some schoolwork to be getting to?
Schoolwork. No, I want to stay here. Oh, I'm Pearl, by the way, Mr. Elias. I don't think I said, in case, I don't know if you know any of Zebulon's other sisters, but you don't really need to. You can just know me.
Alright. Pearl, Mr. Jackson here and I, we do have to speak in private.
Why?
We will be discussing some business.
What business you got?
Well, as I've told you before, I met Mr. Jackson in Peru, and I do believe that he looks over at Mr. Jackson to see if it's okay to talk about this.
He is so what is happening right now?
All right, Pearl. As your older brother, I'm asking if you can give us some privacy.
She lets
That
out.
you make sure he puts emphasis on older.
Yeah. She lets out a peal of laughter at that. And then finally, when you don't say anything else, fine, I will go. I will go. Definitely not listen in at the door. Good day. I hope I see you for dinner later, Mr. Elias.
Early.
Yes, she turns on her heel and strides out. Oh, I am. That was
Pearl.
That was Pearl.
Yes, she's a good kid. She's just really into the drama, as they say.
Yes, I was picking up on that. Is your sister? Oh, what was her name? Is your sister Annabelle here? And is she anything like that? Because then I will just prepare myself. Is all I'm saying.
Annabelle is. You did say Annabelle was here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do believe that she is working in her room. She is. She's that, but maybe a bit more refined, so to speak.
All right, that makes sense in my head.
Would you like me to get her right now before
No.
Where's
I
Mom?
just have a letter from Miss Graves. I understand they were friends or pen pals, something of that nature.
Oh, you've met with Miss Graves then?
I have.
How's she doing?
She's good as far as I can tell. About to head back out to the sea.
Oh, well, I mean that is, as far as I'm aware, that's been pretty much her life. So I'm not surprised.
I have a letter for you from her that I'm sure is full of interesting offers, as she informed me.
Well, thank you kindly, Mr. Jackson. And before I forget, you, Pearl, you are invited to dinner if you would like.
Thank you, I do appreciate it. I just
Why don't you have a seat and
yeah.
can I get you anything to drink?
I'm all right, Zebulon. I just tell me how you been. How was the end of high school?
Well, bit unfortunate. Broke my leg in the first game of the season, so I didn't get to compete the rest of the year, but it wasn't so bad. I stuck around for school a bit, learned a few things, met some people. I'm working for actually the local newspaper now, Post and Courier.
You're a writer. His whole demeanor has changed, starting from when you said you broke your leg.
Are you all right, Mr. Jackson? Are you sure you wouldn't like a drink? I'm sure all that travel has been.
Yeah, I think I would. We can't avoid our appointments, can we?
No, we cannot. Zeb will grab another whiskey glass and pour some whiskey for Mr. Jackson.
You hear from down the hall, Pearl calling up the stairs, "Annabelle, he's drinking!"
Oh my gosh, Pearl, she is such a... she wants to go to Hollywood. I mean, I think it's a little crazy, but I mean, who am I to tell her no? My parents definitely think it's crazy. My mom is fairly, my ma is fairly supportive of our dreams, and what my ma wants, my ma gets. So.
He looks.
So how's the book coming along? Or did it look like it was finished there?
Yeah, it's all done. Pending. I wanted you all to get a chance to read it.
I did. It was very very enlightening. If I hadn't lived it, very good. I do enjoy sort of the deep dive into the death cults there. That was I'm sure there will be plenty of people that will find that very enthralling.
What do you write about, Zebulon?
It's I don't know, it's just a little piece about how many apparently haunted catacombs haunted crypts. There we go. Crypts. How many haunted crypts there are out in Adesto Island. All them rich people out there, they build, family mausoleums, and just about every one of them's got a ghost story. Most of them are rats or wind through the cracks, but there's a lot of ghost stories around. You would think they have nothing better to do with their time.
I must say I'm surprised that that's the kind of thing you're investigating, that you're writing about.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I may have been a little inspired by perhaps your work, Mr. Jackson, a little bit by Mr. Rapp as well.
Have you seen him lately? He's the only one I haven't heard back from.
I wish Summer was here because I'm trying to think of.
He's currently dating Annabelle.
Okay, yes, that's what I thought. Actually, I have seen him quite a bit around these parts. He's actually apparently dating my sister Annabelle these days.
And how do you feel about that? As if I didn't know.
Well, the parents, Ma and Pa love him. My sisters love him. He is another one of the family. So, I don't really have much of a say in this matter. Not that I've really ever had a say, to be honest, even if Annabelle's take care of herself. But it was a little weird at first. Sorry, that's probably weird. Now, it was a little weird at first, I will admit, but he's alright, if a little strange at times. He's gone quite a bit lately, though. Haven't seen him in a little while.
Well, maybe I'll run into him. Yeah, so here's the letter from Miss Graves for you and for your sister Annabelle.
Do you mind? Does he sort of point that he's going to open the letter to him?
It is, I think, right, Allie, an invitation on an expedition.
Yes. It's a letter from Ganymede inviting you to join the crew of the Daring for an expedition to Patagonia as a photojournalist, and it's of course fairly formal in Ganymede's style, but with a penned postscript wishing you well, hoping for the opportunity to reconnect, and promising an adventure not quite as exciting as our last one. And Gigi in her hand at the bottom.
Well, it seems Miss Graves hasn't really changed very much since then.
That's good, I think.
She's apparently inviting me out to Patagonia. As a bit of a sort of a business opportunity. Journalism, perhaps?
I'm sure you'd have plenty of things to write about in Miss Graves' company.
I'm sure I would. I wonder if a bit of a travel piece might do all right around here. People don't really get out too much around these parts. Especially not to Patagonia. I think that's in South. That's still not super school, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Jackson, I have a question, a bit of a professional and personal question, if I may ask.
Of course.
I read your book, and as I said, it is a very good piece of work. And I thank you for perhaps toning down some of what may have happened. But how do you decide what you kept in there and what you didn't, based on what happened?
I guess I put myself in the shoes of someone who wasn't there. I thought if I was a reader or someone just hearing about it, what would and would not make sense? What would be too fantastic to be believable? Because what I believe, Mr. Montgomery, is that everything we saw could be explained by human means. I believed that when I wrote it.
not gonna lie, Mr. Jackson. I mean, I've thought a lot about what happened then. I've had a lot of strange dreams since then. Some days I look back and I think that some of those memories may be just a bit of exaggeration under stressful times. But I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff out in the world, Mr. Jackson. And apparently a lot around here. Apparently there's a lot of strange things around here. And I feel like I have to make that choice a lot if I end up getting into this world. I haven't been published yet, of course, but hoping real soon I'll land my scoop and become a full-time writer.
I certainly believe you will.
Well, was there anything you wanted to discuss? Sort of, Zeb takes a long drink.
Yeah.
And cigarette, and he pulls out a pack of Chesterfields. I think.
Uh-huh.
Chesterfields. Yeah.
No, I think dinner sounds lovely.
I am going to warn you. You are about to meet 5 of my 6 sisters, as well as my mom and pa. My pa's a bit of a real, he's a bit on the silent, stoic type, but he's real decent. I'll say he's just a bit stoic. And my sisters are gonna definitely be a bit overwhelming. I'm gonna try to position you between Ruth and not Ruth, sorry, Ruth. That's the name of her face claim. I'm gonna try to position you between Gracie and Lillian. They're gonna be probably the most the least perhaps annoying to sit next to. But I'm just warning you.
It is appreciated. And yes, you proceed to dinner. It is chaotic. Pearl refuses to sit anywhere else other than right by Jackson. And, but the evening is pleasant. And now, where do we find Irene Blackwell?
We find her at the one cafe, diner, restaurant in this tiny little coal town in West Virginia. She is sitting outside. It does have some outdoor tables. And she is waiting for Jackson. She has the copy of the book out on the table. And she also has a carriage next to her. A baby carriage. More like a stroller, actually. Where a little girl, about 2 years old, is fast asleep. And she is sipping her coffee. And waiting for his arrival.
He comes in looking kind of rushed. It is pretty early in the year, so it's cold just about everywhere. And he walks into the diner, sees you across the way, and his whole face lights up, and he walks over, surprised at the stroller, but tries not to show it as he sits down and immediately puts his hand around a warm pot of coffee.
It's good to see you, Jackson.
It is good to see you, Irene.
You're looking well, if not a little bit cold.
Yeah, have been in a much warmer climate as of late, so, it's been pretty much cold everywhere I've gone to visit y'all. You are, second to last on my list. Not that that is a bad place to be, I'm saying it is, I wanted to save you.
For second last.
Well, I tried to find Mr. Rapp, but, either he doesn't want to see me, or it's just bad luck.
He's, a bit of a traveler. It's hard to pin him down.
Did you get a chance to read the book? Well, wait a second, though. Who is this? Who is this adorable bean?
Irene laughs. They'll probably cover his mouth to be quieter, just not to wake up. Well, this is Anna. She's, my daughter.
Oh, you and, trying to be polite.
Yes, it's like, no, you wouldn't know the father, yes, before our expedition.
Right before.
About half a year.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a kid to get back to. I would have.
It's fine. Most people don't know. And, she doesn't know exactly. Sorry, it's a bit of a heavy topic, I suppose.
No, not at all. I'm just, I'm surprised you never mentioned it when you wrote back. Though I suppose it's not something you write down in a letter.
Yeah, hard to explain in a letter, I suppose. How have you been doing?
I've been alright, visiting everyone. Had to kind of stop my new research, because I wanted to see all of y'all before the book went to publication. How did you get a chance to read it?
Yeah, not much to do in this, in my hometown. Mostly, you just work or read, so went through it. Quite a, although I knew all of the events, of course, it's a fascinating read. And I, appreciate you keeping my name anonymous. Or
of course.
Changing it.
I have to ask you, have you been, please, this is not, I don't mean this in any kind of forward way. Have you been sleeping all right?
I could be sleeping better. I've been having nightmares recently.
What kind?
The kind that repeats. Same ending image, at least. It gives me weirdly enough, it gives me almost a deja vu of the visions. Bad feeling. As bad of a feeling that can come from a vision of a door.
What did you end up doing with that mask you found in Demondose's room, if you don't mind me asking?
It is currently buried in my parents' basement. I know that technically the responsible thing would be to give it to a museum, or I took a look at it and it could go to market for a very high price, but I don't quite feel right sharing it. Or letting anyone look at it in the same way that I did and that Ganymede did.
I've been having kind of nightmares too.
Do you see a door?
No, not a door, just all sorts of places. Places I've been before, but seeing them in a new way. I don't really...
As if... Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
As if the world was falling apart.
Falling apart. Broken.
I still have those sketches, actually, from Peru and what I thought I saw. I thought about sending them to you for the book. But I suppose that's probably the better way to explain what those visions were. The world falling apart.
Well, I certainly don't aim to let it, not when I'm in such pleasant company.
Of course. I'm thinking about returning back to New York, actually. I came right here after everything. But I miss the city.
If you don't mind me saying, I always got the feeling that you were hiding.
I suppose it wasn't that subtle.
I don't know, maybe I was just paying more attention to you.
No, yeah. I have some people. Well, there were some people who I used to work for. It's, not the best of work, but it paid well. But when I had her, and kind of gestures to Anna, and I met Charlie, I realized that wasn't exactly a life I wanted to continue living. So I quit without leave. And the fastest way out that we found was to an expedition in Peru.
But you're gonna go back.
It's been a couple of years. I would hope that I've been forgotten, or at least not worth the trouble to bring back.
We can't escape our appointments, can we?
Suppose not. But I miss the city. And as much as I've enjoyed spending a couple years here, and getting to know my own daughter a little bit better, I also know that I can't stay here forever. Ran away from here when I was 18.
Could I walk you home, Miss Blackwell?
Of course.
I don't mean to rush this reunion. It's just have a boat to catch. I'm off to London, retracing the steps of Mr. Larkin.
Well, if you learn anything new, I'm interested to hear more.
I'll keep you posted.
Do I know what address to send to, just because I don't know how much longer I'll be here?
I'll leave forward an addresses at all the places I go.
Well, I'll send a letter from wherever I end up in the city.
Yeah, start at the Hotel Chelsea in New York, and they know my routine, so.
I'll be sure to go through that then.
As y'all gear up to exit, and he walks you home, he goes to shake your hand.
Yeah, she'll shake it.
Yeah, well, he was gonna shake it, but he stops and kind of turns it and lays a very respectful kiss on the top of your hand.
I suppose I'll see you later.
See you later. He walks a bit away and then he stops and turns and says, kind of to you and kind of to the air, I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams. And he tips his hat and walks away.
And Irene will nod and wave. And then she'll scoop Hannah up. 3 years old, getting a little too big to be carried around regularly, but she does anyways. Come on, sweetheart. Auntie Irene has to take you back home.
And that's where we'll end this session of Masks of Nyarlathotep. Okay, so next week we will be, I think, in New York. I mean, we'll see how it goes. We're definitely going to check in with Charlie in 1923. And then we'll be fast forwarding to 1925 for the campaign proper. I had so much fun doing this. I love seeing everyone, where they come from, what they're doing, like what their home life is. It's so cool. But yeah, let's go around and talk to everybody. Let's start with Tommy.
Oh my gosh, that was great. It was great getting to see everyone in sort of their own environment that's not Peru. I think that Lauren had fun. I think Lauren got to do something she really wanted to do. So I'm glad. I'm glad you got to do that. I'm glad we got to see some of Zeb's sisters finally. But yeah, that was great, and I'm super, super excited to get to New York. I'm glad Zeb is alive. Things have changed for Zeb quite a bit. But yeah, I am at Imperator Pengu on the Twitter sphere. I do our tabletop RPG stuff and some video editing stuff, like the intro to this show. Otherwise, you can find me over on Fridays over on Encounter Roleplay, doing some Haunting of Seawall Orphanage, which is now my only teenage character in a horror story now. I'm super looking forward to next week. Also, I want to see more about Charlie, so I really hope we get to see more about Charlie.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. Okay, Allie.
Well, like I said at the beginning, these kinds of sessions are some of my very favorite. And I loved everything about this one. I loved getting to see all of your characters living their lives after the events of Peru. I also have to say, like, one of my favorite things about RPGs as like a genre of thing that humans do is watching Lauren's NPCs flirting with Kienna's PCs. That's like an entire genre of thing that I just absolutely love and I want more and more of in my life.
Your game.
Of course you're gonna do it in my game. Speaking of my game, in just a couple of weeks, I am sliding back into the DM's chair here on Salty Sweet Games to lead a group of intrepid adventurers on an assault on the Barrier Peaks. A strange invasion is afoot. If you like your Dungeons and Dragons with a big old dollop of weird science on top, or if you're into new takes on some classic D&D adventures, you'll want to join us on Monday nights. I'm super looking forward to that. And I can't wait to share with you over the next few days and weeks a little bit about the world and the characters. So you'll want to follow me on Twitter and follow, of course, the channel, but follow me too, because I'm kind of cool. And get more information about that. You can also find out a little bit more about Ganymede, who is now so dear to my heart. Cottagecore Ganymede is like my favorite. You can find out a little bit more about her life and background. I posted some stuff up on my Twitter there. So it's at Allison Robinson with 2 L's and a Y. And thanks once again to our sponsors at Roll20. Love you all so much. And I cannot wait to be back here in this chair next week.
Awesome. Key, let's do our personal stuff.
Yeah, before we do that, I want to shout out Summer, who is a lovely, lovely other person of our group here who was not able to be here because internet gremlins are a thing. So please go give her some love over on her Twitter and also on her channel Off the Table. She is wonderful. Give her some good vibes after a tough morning of shitty internet. But I'm Kienna. Y'all find me over on here, basically. But if not on here, you can find me over on Twitter, where I stream, I write, I scream into the void, all that fun stuff. And what about you, Lauren?
Me, I'm Lauren. I'm Not Salty Ginger over on the Twitter. You can find me here every weekend and also on Off the Table, on the Scraticus Academy, and on Nomadic next month for some super fun times. Can't wait. Yeah, that's
this was a fun episode. This was good. Yeah, I like that I finally got be able to drop. Hey, Irene has a secret daughter that even her daughter doesn't know.
Secret baby.
Yep. Her kid doesn't know that she's the mom. It's cool.
Yeah.
That moment at the end where you said Auntie Irene, I was just like, oh my god.
Yup.
Oh my god.
Yep. It's sad times. I met a sad girl.
Sad girl.
And also give a little bit of a hint as to why she's in hiding. Because she's in hiding. It's pretty obvious.
Who could she be hiding from? A group of people in New York who pay well but are dangerous. No idea.
No idea.
So, once again, thank you to Roll20, our sponsor. I just finished uploading all the assets for the official start of the campaign, and it was super easy. Roll20 runs right from your web browser. It's one of the really awesome things about it. We use it all the time in streams, in home games. Love. Also, we have merch on Redbubble. You can catch up on episodes you missed on YouTube. We're trying to get enough subscribers over there. It's totally free to get a custom URL, so it's not a bunch of letters and numbers and all that stuff.
We just need enough subscribers to do it.
Thank you so much for the hype train, y'all. Those have been insane. Love them. Thank you so much. It really helps us out. I think that's mostly everything, right? So-
Keep up with us over on Twitter.
Yes.
It's where we post when we go live, when we announce our new shows or impromptu streams that we do, because we do tabletop games. We also do video games. We just finished Resident Evil 3, and we're probably going to do another horror AAA game at some point. So keep up with us over there. We just hit over 700 followers, so that's wild. So thank you very much to everyone for supporting us and all that stuff. And of course, keep an eye out for all the promos that'll be going out about Strange Invasion, Assault on the Barrier Peaks, because we're super excited. There's some really, really good character art that I can't wait to reveal with teasers, and more information on that over on Twitter.
Yes.
But I think that's it.
Yeah.
We are going to go raid some friends.
The
So
broadswords.
yeah, so make sure to stick around in chat. If you have the hype emote, please spam the hype emote when we go over there. If not, spam some hearts, show them some love from us over at Salty Sweet Games. And we will see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wave bye, everyone.